Okay, so we've got about less than a month now until we find out who dies this Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I've also got a new theory, because the last two, when I said it would be Martin or James, they weren't really taken. Well, they were taken well, but no one agreed with me. You all thought it's not going to be them. So this time I've thought of a better theory that you will actually agree with, and it's not just those two. So, first of all, I'd like to point out that I will be talking about spoilers because there have been leaks of a funeral that takes place in 2024 that shows certain male characters that are suspects, and therefore we know it can't be them. So if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, then don't watch this. The first three parts didn't have any spoilers because no one had a clue, but now we do somewhat. The other thing is we technically have two new male suspects now. There's Dorian, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who was like some business partner of Sharon. There's not much anything else interesting about him. He's just a bloke. So it could be him. This was a Malcolm, who I guess would be angry. He's very angry with Keanu because he unknowingly abducted a child. So at the moment they're like teasing these 6 women, who killed this bloke and who's the bloke gonna be, and based on like posters and stuff and what's happening in the show, it seems that each woman is like assigned a man that they could have killed, if that makes sense. So we're expected to believe that it's either going to be Sharon killing Keanu, Linda killing Dean, Stacy killing Theo, Denise killing Ravi, Suki killing Nish, or Kathy killing Rocky. And we've also had some evidence since the last video I made, since it was a while ago. For example, Phil now has the cufflinks. I guess Jack just sort of gave them to him. So it could be Phil. Another thing is that Sharon has blood on her wedding dress, which no one pointed out to me. In the 3 videos I've made, and like I've never seen anyone talk about it. I've never noticed Sharon has blood on her wedding dress. It's not really a clue to anything, but I thought I'd bring it up because I never have. There's also a rumour that Stacey and Jack are going to have an affair, and based off of recent episodes, it seems like that's the direction they're going. I just finished the one where, as of this recording, the most recent one is Nish finding out that Suki and Eve are having an affair, and then he like knocks out Eve and then tells Ravi to kill her. That's the latest I've seen as of recording this. And in that episode, Stacey and Jack are getting a bit cozy. So I've even seen some people suggest that maybe the reason Stacey has blood on her hands is because of Denise's glass bottle, and like she smashed her bottle on her hands or like got angry over the affair. Another piece of evidence that I kind of just looked over is that there's a photo of Lola, and it like gets more into frame as they zoom out. And to me, when I first saw this, I thought, wouldn't it make sense if the person that dies was like closely linked to Lola, and therefore her photo wasn't just like a little "hey, she's dead by now" to us back in February, but rather it's going to be like a little hint that the person that died was quite close to her. Well, Jay seems quite like depressed, down, and he's like making poor life decisions at the moment. He keeps doing stupid stuff. Maybe he does something stupid that makes one of the 6 women accidentally kill him. And then it'd be like a Romeo and Juliet type situation where both Jay and Lola die in the same year. And that's going to be because you've had Lola's story take up most of the year of her death. So it'd be nice if it's linked to this Christmas thing somewhat, other than just a photo saying, "Hey, look, she's dead by now." So I thought it was Jay, and I was going to make a whole theory on it. But then some bloody leak happens about Aunt Sal's funeral. Even though the actress died a couple of years ago, I assume they weren't going to do a funeral for her. They are, and there have been leaked photos which prove that officially the person that dies cannot be Jay, Phil, Ben, or Alfie. I don't even know why Alfie's at the funeral. But interestingly, Billy's not there, so I guess it could still be him. It won't know. So yeah, it can't be Jay. And it also means that Phil is going to have to give his cufflinks to someone within the next month. And that person, assumedly, unless they pass it to someone, that person will be the one that dies. So it probably has to be someone Phil knows. Now, I've thought about this long and hard. And I started thinking, well, maybe the best way to theorise who dies is by looking at past murder mysteries. Because if you don't know, they do like an anniversary special every 5 years, and it's normally a who done it, who kills who, or who died kind of situation. And looking at those, spoilers for those episodes, but on the 25th anniversary back in 2010, Stacy kills Archie. In the 30th anniversary, there was a whole who kills Lucy, and it turned out to be Bobby. And in the 35th anniversary, there's a case of who dies, and it turned out to be Dennis. And so in all three of these mysteries, the answers were Stacy, because it was who was the killer, Bobby, because it was who was the killer, and Dennis, because it was who dies. And what's interesting about these three characters and their mysteries where they turned out to be the answer is that they're characters that were there the whole time, but at no point did the show suggest it would be them, if that makes sense. Especially for Stacy and Bobby. And so with this logic, if we assume that they're going to follow this pattern, which they have so far, then my first two theories don't make sense. Because it couldn't be James, because he hasn't been there the whole time. I feel like if he was going to show up, he would have done it by now. Then they never just pull someone out last minute, and then it's them. And it also can't be Martin, because out of the three people, it's never normally a legacy character. If they want to kill them off, or if the actor leaves, they normally do some respectful ending. They're never just it's never all guns blazing kind of exit for a legacy character. So it wouldn't make sense to be Martin either. It also can't be George with that logic, because he was introduced midway through when the mystery started. And it can't be anyone with the cufflinks so far, so it couldn't be, well, we know it can't be Phil, but it can't be Jack, because they've already suggested it might be him. And also with that logic, out of the 6 men they've suggested, it can't be any of them either, because they've suggested them, and Eastenders doesn't normally do that, like I've said. So, what I've done is I've looked back, because everyone's saying, oh, you've just listed every single male character and describes how it could have been them. But that's no good, for suspects, I mean. So I've nailed it down to just 8 people, 8 men, and these are the only 8 men I know that fit the description of a man that's been there since the mystery started, it's been in the show consistently since then, and that the show hasn't suggested it being them at all so far this entire time. And so my suspects now are Zach, Howie, Vinny, Harvey, Mitch, Callum, Felix, and Reese. Let me know if I've forgotten anyone, but I think it has to be one of these 8. And they sound silly, it can't be them, right? They're not that involved in the story. But they've been here the whole time, and they're the kind of people that Eastenders are most likely to pick, based off of the previous years. Now, something else. Something that bothered me in the last video was the way Kathy looks at Sookie. Because Sookie, she just kind of sits down slowly, but Kathy looks horrified. What's that look she gives to Sookie for? And so it would also make sense if this person was most linked to Kathy out of the 6 women. I also think it would make sense if they were linked to Lola as well. And out of these 8 men, the only one that seems to make any sense whatsoever is Callum. Because for Lola, he's supposed to be one of the 3 dads for Lexi. It'd be quite tragic if he died. And then it would just be Ben and Jay raising Lexi. Because when you think about it, are they really just going to have Lexi have 3 dads forever? I mean, maybe, but I don't think they will. So, how do I think Callum is the one that dies? Well, so look at it this way. All the 6 women look quite sad about the death that's happened and quite shocked, but not enough for it to be someone that's that related to them, that close to them, except for Kathy. And I think Callum's the perfect description for that, because I think all 6 of them know who Callum is, and he's just a friendly policeman, you know? I think their reactions perfectly match it being Callum. It also makes sense for Phil to give the cufflinks to Callum, because it's Ben's husband. And another thing that's bothered me is this whole line of "may men get what they deserve" before it cuts to Christmas, suggesting that it's going to be quite a villainous person. But when you think about it, if it's just someone who's a villain now, why would they be invited to the wedding at all? Because they're wearing wedding clothing. It doesn't really make sense for it to be a villain. Unless what they mean by that is that it's someone who's not a villain but messed up, done some quite bad mistakes, and ended up dead. Now, I don't know why that would be Callum. Maybe it would make more sense to be Vinny, but I think Callum makes the most sense. He's who I'm leaning towards. So, but yeah, let me know if you think Callum's a better answer for who dies, and let me know who you think it's going to be, and if you think it's going to be Dean, you're wrong. But yeah, thank you.